Live at Lunch is produced by KRFC 88.9 FM in the Ginger and Baker Studio in Fort Collins, Colorado, and supported by the Music District, a music-centric gathering place to cultivate talents, support professional development, and encourage connections.
Welcome to Live at Lunch. I'm your host, Denny LaRue, and today we welcome Luna Shade.
And no people walk around, rap the street, I'm true to sound, yeah. Sound the sound on the stereo. Sound the sound on the stereo, wow, wow, shoo. Was it for you? I'd be stuck like glue. Fast waves, backlash, and addiction too. Took all my strength to see it through. Said I'm not done yet, so don't get confused. Yeah. New sound we coming hot like the lava. Respect to the masses, pure hot, Hakuna Matata. I know I can see it. All the people made me stronger. You built me up, yeah. Said your words gave me power. Sound the sound on the stereo. Sound on the stereo, wow, wow, shoo.
And I might say a lot, so c'est la vie. Might stay a while and feel the beat. You might see we're nice and neat. Yeah, pass it to the left if you see me. Gonna keep it going, this a place to be. I fit right together like a pod and a pea. Break down to the right key, cause I be catching waves by the sea. Yeah, yeah.
Sound the sound on the stereo. Rocket swear, turn up the radio. Sound the sound on the stereo, wow, wow. Sound the sound on the stereo. Rocket swear, turn up the radio. Sound the sound on the stereo. Say no people walk around, rap the street up to the sound, yeah. Rhythm to the sound, yeah. Said come on over Babylon. Lean a little closer, yeah. Hear me when I say, yeah. Said come on over Babylon. Lean a little closer, yeah. Hear me when I say, come on over, let me we live this way. We step up to the plate every morning, now we wake. No money in our pockets to find light in the day, yeah. We know you still got it, 'cause nothing's changed. So why you holding out on your brothers and your sisters? You got more than you can spend in a day. Say nah, so come on over Babylon. Lean a little closer, yeah, yeah.
Closer, listen in. There's a whole movement that we gotta live. We gotta make a choice every single day. Material things will only lead you astray. Come on closer, don't be afraid. It's all love here in the lunar shade. Don't give in to the greed and lust. Your friends and family are who you should trust. There's beads on the loose and suits and ties. Stop choosing sides, it's all a disguise. There's only one way in my mind to live and die. Choose the most high, live a simpler life.
We'll take a page from Molly's book, 'cause money is numbers, and numbers never end. Whoa. If it takes the money to be happy, then your search for happiness will never end. So love your ohana, yeah. You got more wealth in them, say. Come on over Babylon. Lean a little closer, yeah. Hear me when I say, yeah. So come on over Babylon. Lean a little closer, yeah. Hear me when I say, yeah. Oh, yeah, oh. So, oh, no, 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 no. Oh, yeah, oh. So, oh, no, 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 yeah. So come on over Babylon.
In a minute, we're going to be talking to all the band members to see what you're up to, but I want to mention something about Luna Shade, and that's how you got started. And so I'll start with you, Andrew, on that. Hurricane Maria really ravaged the Virgin Islands back in, I think it was 2017.
2017,
And you were
yeah.
there, and like a lot of people, you were displaced. And so you ended up coming back to Colorado.
Yep.
And then decided to put together a band.
Yep.
And so how did that, and so reggae was your love. I mean, you love reggae music, but also community, and that's a big part of it?
Yeah. So I, like you were saying, I lived here before I went to move to the Caribbean. Yeah, I spent some time out there. I love reggae music. I grew up with my mom playing old classic reggae stuff. And then, kind of grew into it as I grew older. But yeah, I moved out to the Caribbean, really got to dive into the culture there. And then when I came back, I was, nearing 30 years old, and I was like, maybe I should chill out, put my mind to use somewhere. And this music saved me from a lot of things, a lot of stress, a lot of just partying too much, just get back in the right mind state, give myself some love. And so I began writing tunes more frequently. Found a good friend, Jason Johnson, who is out in Oregon now with his band Pacific Vibe. We started this together, wrote Maria, which is on our last album, or our oldest album, Flock Together. So I started this group, and then over the past 4 years, I've found my best friends, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like how it started, I guess.
Well, that's great. And where did the name Luna Shade come from?
Luna Shade is my dad's favorite phrase. Sorry, this is I always get a little teary with this one, but that's his favorite phrase. He passed away 3 years ago. I met him when I was 25 in Uruguay, South America, which is, we're going to be playing a song called Canción Familiar later, which is all about meeting my dad.
Wow.
But yeah, Luna Shade was his favorite phrase when we got to know each other and got to figure out English and Spanish together, trying to communicate. I spent 3 months down there, and he'd always look at the moon, and it would make a palm tree shadow in the middle of the night, and he loved that.
Luna Shade.
And so he would always mention the Luna Shade, and so I held on to that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And those first two songs just flowed together so well.
Yeah.
I mean, they really did. Sound to Sound and Come On Over.
Yep.
And those were previously released, right?
So actually, Sound to Sound is released on our latest EP, our Phases EP.
Mm-hmm.
And then Come On Over is actually off of our new album that we'll be releasing in February.
Okay, great. I wondered about that because you've got your next song, Too Many Times, is from your brand new album.
Yep.
And so tell us about that.
Yeah, so that one's dropping in 2 weeks on the 25th or maybe 10 days from now. And that tune is actually a remake from our Flock Together album. We had a lot of fun with that when we were starting out as musicians. It was a little ska tune kind of influence. And then once we really found each other and we found solid musicians that really appreciate the music and we built this companionship together, we went back and we rewrote Too Many Times and putting it out as it should be on this next album, which is going to be King on, like I said, February, which is, we're shooting for February 3rd. That's the tentative date, but
cool.
Yeah. All right, this one's called Too Many Times.
It's calling me. I said no too many times I could see it. How my home belong right by the sea. I said no 24 hours, it'll be a long time. Sitting by the ocean just to ease my mind. I said no sipping it, ripping it, I'm feeling just fine. Half ounce of grass just to pass the time. I said now where the time go, right out the window. Luna shaded, faded, and I didn't even know. Yeah, spliff to my mind, spliff to my dome. Chilling in the comfort of my own time. Too many times. Para el cielo estoy mirando en ese lugar donde nací. Extraño esos momentos de vida, pensando en esa alegría. Alimenta mi alma, alimenta mi sol. Ese es el mensaje del corazón. Too many times. Too many times. direction, yeah, it's calling me. I said now too many times I could see it. How my home belong right by the sea. I said now too many times I could see it. Oh yeah, yeah. Too many times I could see it. Oh yeah, yeah. Whoa.
So that was Too Many Times, and that's your new single coming out in February.
November 25th.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So we're excited for that one. It's cool.
And so the new release is coming out in February that you're hoping, a bigger release.
Yeah, the big album,
Yeah.
the full thing. It's a 12-song album, and it's going to be our biggest album yet, and I think our most professional. And the whole album just has an awesome kind of message throughout the whole thing, so it's really exciting. I think people could use it right now. A little positivity.
That's great. What's the name of the new album?
It's called King, based off of
King.
our recent single that we dropped on YouTube in July.
And we got that on the list to play today,
We do,
so
yeah.
I'll look forward to it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we've talked a little bit to Andrew. I had a couple more questions from you, and then let's meet the whole band today.
Sure.
So, Andrew, Wisconsin to Virgin Islands to time with your dad to Colorado. You've been around, traveling around a bit. How did you get from Wisconsin to Colorado? How did that happen?
I just drove out here when I was 18, or now 20. And just kind of left my hometown. My mom met my dad out here in Telluride area, that is. And so she always brought me up talking about Colorado, and I thought it was a way cooler place than Wisconsin. So
There you go.
I ended up out here, drove a $400 car, and broke down 2 weeks later, and I stayed.
So another question was, was it always reggae? I mean, did you, as soon as you heard reggae, or was that just a progression?
Reggae music always been in my ears, but I played in a pretty heavy metal band in my high school days. Got to do a couple tours with them as I graduated high school, and then when I moved out to Colorado was kind of the end of that. And I was ready for a new change, a new time, and I spent the earlier years of my 20s just living that Colorado 20-year-old college kid life.
Yep.
And then I put my guitar down for a little bit, but that's okay, and then came back to it. So.
And your most important, impactful mentors musically?
Yeah. So my dad, for sure, he was a touring artist. He taught me a lot in the 3 months we got to spend together. I'll probably say my mom, too. My mom let me learn Smoke on the Water as a little kid, like everybody else, and she dealt with it. But really, honestly, my biggest mentors are these guys.
Okay.
They teach me and help me, and we built a pretty cool bond, nice little chemistry.
And speaking of that, because I know that's important to you, and you wanted to mention Derek, who's not here today, right?
Dirk, yeah. So he's out right now. He's a busy man, but he is usually with us, rocking out on keys, and it's great to have him. We're missing him today, but shout out Dirk. What's up, man?
Yeah. Turkey boy.
All right. So let's move on over to Tyler O'Hare on guitar. Hi, Tyler.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. So where did you start out, and how did you end up here in Colorado?
So I actually grew up in Colorado. Do I need the mic or? Yeah, okay, cool. So I actually grew up in Colorado, in like northeastern Colorado, just south of Nebraska. And I've lived my whole life here. I've traveled around the country quite a bit, but this has always been home base for me.
And you, what about your influences growing up?
So, both my parents were like my dad was like a blues rock guitarist, and they both played like folk, and they would sing at like funerals and weddings and stuff like that. And that was kind of their vocation. So I picked up, I picked up a lot of stuff growing up with them. There was always music in the house. It's like how like religion is in some houses. Like that was kind of how music was. It was just everywhere, like. So I just learned everything kind of.
That's cool. So, up in northeastern Colorado, did you have much reggae going on up there?
Not a lot. No. So my influence is reggae is kind of funny for me because I've always loved it and appreciated it, but I never really listened to it all that in depth until I started playing with these guys about like 3 years ago now. And now it's like, you get your end of the year Spotify thing, and it's like, oh, your second favorite genre is reggae, and I'm like, oh, well, cool, look at that, But yeah, I'm like a Deadhead first and foremost, and a lot of like folk and country and rock and roll influences and all that.
So you really have a lot of genres that you.
Yeah, I try to draw on everything,
Yeah, probably growing up listening to lots of different things, like you said.
Yeah,
right.
It really helps you keep an open mind.
Okay. And Andy Schultz is next. Caught him just drinking some water. Bad timing there. You're also known as the Lion Lab, right?
Lion Lab.
As a rapper, right? In Fort Collins?
Yeah, I do hip hop and kind of produce like loops and live looping and do some like different instrumental stuff too.
So what's your backstory, Andy, as far as being in Colorado, Fort Collins band?
So me and Andrew grew up together.
Okay.
We grew up in the same hometown, Wisconsin, and just kind of, we were in a band, and then but life took us different paths, and we both ended up in Colorado. I moved up to Keystone, went to just be a ski bum, found out real quick how expensive it is here, and, real life awakening that was like, I had to find something to do. So I went to culinary school and got into the CIA culinary school up at Breckenridge, and graduated in 2016, and then moved down to. That was kind of in that I've always been a musician since, me and him met when we were like 15, saved up for my first guitar, and played our first show together when we were like 16, so yeah, it comes full circle pretty quick when it's like you never know down the road who you're gonna keep playing music with or keep in touch with. So but yeah, I went to culinary school, moved down to Denver, and then he hit me up one day and was like, come play in my reggae band.
So did you guys always stay in touch all those years?
Yeah,
so that when you...
at least like once a year, we communicate. Sorry. At least like once a year we would like get together and or like meet up we just we kept that kind of going. But Andy and I, it's like that chemistry when you play with someone for so long. It's like me and him don't really have to talk about much. We used to just play. I used to play a reggae chank, and he would play the drums, and we would just fumble around when we were younger. But yeah, we shared a lot of shows together in our younger years, and now we get to do it again, which is great.
Oh yeah. So Andy, tell me about your influences and your mentors. By the way, did you end up cooking at some restaurants in Denver, or?
At Table 6 in Denver for a little bit, but yeah, mostly just went to culinary school to have a better life skill and better myself just overall as a person, and just learn something new down that road. So, but yeah.
Musical influences.
Has always been, I've always played, I played hand drums since 2007. I went on the road and followed Bob Weir and Phil Lesh around the country for 2 years. Grew dreadlocks and lived the life, and learned how to play hand drums at every music festival I was at. Every weekend was a music festival, and then play hand drums around the drum circles, and so been playing since 2007. So it kind of just comes naturally as far as that goes. But rapping, and I really dove into like rapping and actually taking it seriously when I was going to culinary school in like 2015, 2013. I started kind of really starting to actually write a lot and practice with me and my friend, and then just turned into every day. And now, like, I find myself every day, I got the notes on my phone, jump in, write a couple bars, and just to do something, get it out every day. So it's like if you challenge yourself to do something every single day, you get really good at it pretty quick. So
That's a good one. Yeah, good lesson on that. Thank you, Andy. And so let's move on to Ismael Mendoza.
Yes.
And Ish, you like to be called, right?
Ish, yeah.
Yeah. And drums and vocal. And how did you end up here in Colorado?
So I originally grew up, I was born and raised in Upland, California, Southern California. And I moved out here, I think it was around 2008. In the middle of my high school years, I was a junior when I moved out to, I think it was Falcon, a little south of Colorado Springs, something around that area.
Yeah.
And then I was there for about a year, and then my father ended up getting a ranch job up here in Eaton, Greeley area. And then that's what drove us up here to up north. And I was graduated there in 2010, and from there I was just playing reggae with a couple friends from high school, just as a hobby, not really doing too much. And I was playing bass at the time. I didn't really touch too much of the drums. And that's when I think Andrew came to one of my shows, and he was looking for a bass player at the time. And he was like, hey, man, would you mind filling in on one of our shows? And I was like, yeah, of course, whatever you want, man, I'm down. We ended up linking up, practiced a couple of the songs, played the show. And then after that, he was like, you know what, you want to be a part of the band? And I was like, shit, yeah, this is by far the most professional band and legit musicians I've been around. So I'm down for it. I'll go for it. And then from there, we ended up going through a bunch of musician switch ups, a lot of musicians coming in and out. And then we kept on trying to find a drummer for the longest time ever. And I just said, you know what? I'm just going to play drums. I'll buy the drums, I'll learn the drums, I'll play them, and then we'll make it happen.
Gave him a drum set.
Yeah. Started out on bass and
any instrument you hand this kid, he's just immediately good at.
Wow.
I tried my best. Yeah, it took about 6 years into drumming is when we had our first show at the Mish, which was super intimidating, but it was a blast. I loved it, and ever since then, I honestly felt like I should have been playing drums from the beginning.
Wow.
I just felt it was such a natural switch for me. I felt so comfortable on them, so I just started going from there, and that's how I just became a hardcore Luna Shade guy.
So who are your biggest musical influences, Ish?
It all started with my family. In California, my godfather was the first one that gave me my very first instrument, which was a small guitar, guitarrón, for mariachi in Spanish, from Mexico music. And I started playing on that and just having fun with that, just hitting strings. I didn't really know what I was doing, just smacking it around. And I always had a guitar in my house, but I never really played it too much until high school is when I started playing more music, because I was into soccer. I was playing a lot of soccer in my life. And it was actually just my dad really playing music all the time when I was growing up. I always just had a feel for it. And I always knew that I wanted to play music. I just never had an opportunity to actually start. And then when I left my family from California, I really had no one else. Like, I was just all by myself in a sense. So I had something to do. So I always had my guitar, and then it just started from there. YouTube, I learned a lot of stuff on YouTube and pretty much taught myself.
Thank you. That's great. And so we have the newest member of the band, Damian Pipes, on bass. This is brand new for you, right? With Luna Shade. Pretty new.
I've been playing bass with him for about 4 months.
Yeah.
And
they just snatched you up?
Yeah, I just got a message on IG. Would you be interested in trying out? And so I was like, well, let me give that guy a call. And called up Andrew and had a conversation. And he sent me an email that was really detailed, So I was like, this guy's organized. And I read his plan. And I was like, I understand all that. But, and then said, I don't know if I'm your guy, but I'm willing to give it a shot. And then came up from Denver to one of their rehearsals, and that rehearsal was really good. Just synced, felt natural, and they're super talented. And I just really, really into reggae and roots reggae. And I was like, well, I don't know. I checked out some of their music, and I was like, I don't know, but let's go give it a try. And it felt good.
All right. And what influences for you growing up?
Oh, man.
And where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Denver. I'm from Denver. my hip hop, soul, lot of influences. My main reggae influences, of course, Bob, Dennis Brown, Gregory Isaacs, a lot of old times. So I really love the older classic roots reggae.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
Yes.
So thank you, Damian Pipes.
Yes, ma'am.
And we'll get back to some music. You guys have a couple more tunes for us, right?
We do. What's the next one on the line? All right, on the line.
Take your time. It's been a long, long time since I got you on my mind. Head down, focused, always on the grind. Yeah, but I know that ain't no any way to live life. Oh, so I stand up tall, I step up to the plate, give thanks, and try to understand. Push on, push on, push on. Push on, young lion, say, trot on, trot on, trot on. Through the valley as I am. Push on, push on, push on. Push on, young lion, say, trot on, trot on, trot on. Take it, Pipes.
Hard times come around, but I never give up. Oh, even though life beats me down, I'm never giving up. Oh, I know I've had those days that feel like it just ain't enough. Even though life's got me down, I gotta be tough.
Push on, push on, push on. Push on, young lion, say, trot on, trot on, trot on. Through the valley as I am. Push on, push on, push on. Push on, young lion, say, trot on, trot on, trot on. Through the valley as I am. Oh, take your time. Ish, what you gotta say?
Tratando de vida salgo muy cansado. Todos cubiertos en un mantel de dudas, seguimos queriendo, no esperando, mirando hacia el cielo, mirando, esperando, queriendo hacia el cielo.
Push on, push on, push on. Push on, young lion, say, trot on, trot on, trot on. Through the valley as I am. Push on, push on, push on. Push on, young lion, say, trot on, trot on, trot on. Through the valley as I am. Ooh, ooh,
called Young Lion. Be the king you want to see in this world. Every king chooses to be king. Stand proud. Not every king chooses to be king. Stand proud. Not every king chooses to be king. Stand proud. Not every king chooses to be king. Whoa. Silent but be clear. The path you walk now reflects those written in any scripture. Since you paved the way, proper freedom, you done paint a picture. Long, long road we have we trod on and on. This message was written through her power song. Maybe it was different, didn't look as it seems. Maybe we all got a path, even if we disagree. Stand proud of. Not every king chooses to be king. Stand proud. Not every king chooses to be king. Stand proud. Not every king chooses to be king. Stand proud. Not every king chooses to be king. Shade, kingly priest and man, we walking in the narrow way. Love will light the way, night will turn to day. Where's the weeping joy? Man will come again. The truth of the matter is, stand proud to be positive. Lord, we have to give all of the negative. Wakanda, changing the narrative. King is a prerogative. Listen close and be inquisitive. Stand proud of. Not every king chooses to be king. Stand proud. Not every king chooses to be king. Proud. Not every king chooses to be king. Stand proud. Not every king chooses to be king. Whoa. Strength, give them power. Prune to your roots, let them go. Grow taller, I say, don't forget to speak with grace and swim on through the waters in a walk. Silent, like
look as it seems, baby. We all got a path, even if we disagree. Stand prouder. Speak your truth into my ear. Be sure you speak your word, full of wisdom, be sincere. Stand the path you walk now, sets example for the youth. It'll be a long, long road, long, long, long road. Stand prouder. Teach compassion and you will come follow. To the rulers of this world, it's a hard pill to swallow. Make sure you teach them proper, never get back and cry. Cause our children, kings and queens, they'll take over this life. Stand prouder. Not every king chooses to be king.
Wow, King, that's a pretty powerful tune.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And tell me about it.
Yeah, so that's the tune that's going to be kind of like what the album is recorded off of, or the whole theme of the album is based off of King. So I had this idea, like kind of some of the struggles that we all go through, and I went through these struggles, like I was kind of mentioning earlier, in my earlier 20s, you know, with like drinking and partying and all those kinds of things, getting caught up. But I needed to be the best person I could be. I don't have anyone to fall back onto, you know. And so the whole idea was like this king, he's kind of like he's got to go be the king, you know. He doesn't want to be the king. It's the chorus is not every king chooses to be king. Sometimes you got to be the king no matter what you choose. And so he had to go there, and no matter what, he didn't want to do this, but he had to be the best person he could be. So that's the whole entire theme of the album, and every song that's on there kind of touches on that. And so the album cover is really cool. It's like this like big drunk king guy riding a camel to this town that's all disheveled, and he has to go be the king and take over this town. And then on the reverse side of the album is him put together, and he's walking away from the town at night, and it's all lit up, and it's this beautiful, like, you know, painting. We're having it hand painted by my friend Chance from Pino's Palette here in town. But yeah, so the whole entire thing of the song is about, you know, yourself, about the youth. I feel like, you know, it's always something like we gotta bring our youth up right, you know, teach them to show love and compassion, so that when it's their time, this world can be a better place. And we've been building this through reggae music since Bob Marley, you know. He's been talking about that and this whole entire vision, this whole entire time. And so I think, like, that's the whole deal with King is be the best you can be. Treat people with compassion and love. And, you know, sometimes you just got to put on your pants, tighten the belt a little bit, you know, and get to work, because we need to have this planet and this beautiful place for all of us to enjoy for as long as we possibly can.
It's a nice vision. Yeah. And the song Young Lion before that sort of fits right in.
Yeah, Young Lion is, it's kind of like the same thing. One of my vocals is head down, focused, always on the grind. And like sometimes you can be so caught up trying to be that best person that, you know, you can be, but you also got to like take time for yourself to enjoy life and give light to those around you. And that's what Young Lion was all about. You know, it talks about this younger youth, I guess, just learning through life, you know, bringing them up that way.
Okay.
So it's kind of like I feel like an uplifting, cool beat, you know?
It is. It was really cool. You're on Instagram, Facebook, Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Where else? Twitter? No.
Yeah. So
No.
I mean, we're not on Twitter.
No.
Well, we do have a
Which
Twitter
one?
account, but I don't know how to use that.
But people can find you if they want
They can
music.
find us on all
and-
social media platforms,
Yep.
anywhere you stream music. please give us a follow or whatever, you know, and that helps us, you know, share this music in the stream.
Okay. And I want to remind people out there that if you're not familiar with KRFC's RadioVision on YouTube yet, it's a great place to go. You'll be able to see this show there in all its musical and video wonder. And we have archived all kinds of shows on KRFC's RadioVision on YouTube. So be sure to go and check that out.
Yeah,
definitely.
we definitely want to thank you guys so much for this opportunity.
Okay. So do you have we've got another song coming up, and do you have a date that you're playing next for people?
So right now, our next show is going to be the Bob Marley. It's I think the fourth annual,
11th annual.
Wow.
11th annual.
11th annual.
Yeah.
Wow.
So for the past, it's down in Cervantes on February 4th with Wake Up and Live. They're an amazing Bob Marley, you know, Wailers cover group, tribute group, I should say. Me and Dave Halchak, Dave is the front man of Wake Up and Live. We've been going back and forth for about 3 or 4 years now trying to do this show together. And before we ever set the show dates, or before we get in contact with each other, we already have show dates. I'm like, hey, man, you want to play this Bob Marley show? He's like, hey, man, you want to play this Bob Marley show? And I'm like, well, I already got a show. He's like, well, I already got a show. So this year we hit each other up in July.
Oh, good.
We're like, we're going to make it happen this year. So we're excited for that. February 4th, down at Cervantes Masterpiece with Wake Up and Live.
And time for your new release, so it's perfect timing.
Yep.
So let's go on. Your family song is the next one, right?
Yep.
Oh, let's hear it.
So this is the one that I wrote about meeting my father.
Oh, okay. All right.
this fire, the fire, set it burn on slow. Let this music be played, yeah. Whoa, 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 yeah. Whoa, 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 yeah. Family is a family, red around this tree. Distance doesn't matter if you know what I mean. Roots are running deep in the middle of the street. I am a who I am, I said I am a who I be. I said I'm 25 years old. Said it's never too late. 25 years. Whoa, said it's never too late, yeah. Whoa, 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 yeah. Whoa, 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 yeah. Caminando por la calle escuchando esa voz, está diciendo que camino ya mejor. Mi padre siempre dice soy un hombre de valor. Mendoza y en mi sangre soy Mendoza por el sol, pidiendo que pronto el mundo mira. Familia siempre será que terminamos sin guerra. directions that I didn't even know. Stepping up on the shore of this Uruguayan road. Come from generations I didn't even know. Stepping up on the shore of this Uruguayan road. I said now 25 years a road. Said it's never too late, yeah. 25 years, road. Said it's never too late, yeah. Whoa, 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 yeah. Whoa, 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 yeah.
Family song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Canción
powerful.
familiar,
Powerful
right?
song, powerful.
Canción familiar.
If this was in front of a live audience,
familiar.
Tyler would be getting a...
You gotta roll your arm.
Yeah,
Right
this
now for
kid's
that
a
guitar
shredder,
work.
man. Every single time
Yeah.
we play that song live, it's like someone tells him to take his shirt off. It's just getting hot in here, you know?
It's great. Yeah.
Glad we got that recorded. You saved that solo.
So I do want to remind people that Facebook, YouTube, Bandcamp, Instagram, they can all look for information about you, get your music. It's all out there. You'll be down in Denver at Cervantes in February for the Bob Marley 11th annual.
Yeah.
And the new CD release or album release, so that's good. And also I want to thank the crew here for Live at Lunch today. We've got, let's give them a hand.
Much respect.
We've got, on the audio side, we've got Chrissy Pelly, Colton Boening. We've got Andy Howe and Cam Alver. And, of course, on the video side, Chris Winslow and Jeremiah Smith. So it takes a village to make this happen.
Yeah, we really appreciate that, guys. Thank you.
And check out our YouTube channel. You can watch this, Your Heart's Content, over and over again, which will be fun once it's up.
We're excited.
And that's our KRFC Live at Lunch YouTube channel, so that'll be fun. I'm Denny LaRue, and thanks for joining us today. And you're going to take us out. Tell us about the tunes you're going to take us out with, Dream Chaser and Set Sail.
Yeah, so Dream Chaser and Set Sail, and then, they just kind of flow together, so... keep your ears peeled. Let's do it, guys.
Okay.
Yeah. Light 'em up.
Shout out to my dream chasers and my passion players and my naysayer too. Gotta light 'em up, gas 'em up, let your heart be true, or let that vision be true. Huh. Come let 'em up, come out of the box, but we can never rest, never weary like a fox. Run through from the ghettos, we've all seen our idols. Take note from the speakers, but be wiser that I mean us. And now run, run, run. Chase them down, run, run, run. Whoa. Run, run, chase them down, run, run, run. Whoa. So many times I would To climb up from the bottom, to climb out for the hole. Said it takes the mental strength of a lion. Corren, corren cuando escuchan música, con el ritmo de la luna, con la fuerza del sol. Deja que la energía entre tu sol. Right. Preguntando por dónde me voy, respondo que siempre busca el sol. Reímos del rugido del león. Run, run, run. Chase them down. Run, run, run. Run, run, run. Chase them down. Run, run, run. Yeah, let's go. Light 'em up. I want to give a big shout out to Ben Myers on the trumpets. You can make it on this track, but we appreciate you, brother. Chasers are my passion players in my naysay too. Gotta light 'em up, gas 'em up, let your heart beat true, let that vision be true. Come let 'em up, come out of the box, man. We can never rest, never weary like a fox. Look, from the ghettos we've all seen our idols take no from the speakers, but be wise and dare to mean us. And now run, run, run. Chase them down, run, run, run. Whoa. Run, run, run. Chase them down, run, run, run. Whoa. Yeah. Turning on to a brighter day.
Brighter day.
I'll set sail to the seas. I'll sail away.
Sail away.
These times are turning into a brighter day.
Brighter day.
I'll set sail to the seas. I'll sail away. I said these times they are changing. Our minds are rearranging. Saying for another truth is something worth saving. Saving. Said I'm living like a Buddha. Higher meditation is my ruler. Oh yeah. Say Jah, grant me the strength of the Lion of Judah today. What this walk through the world today. Said now sometimes the solution on the problems we face. What this walk through the world today. I said now sometimes the solution on the problems we face. Whoa, whoa.
Short sound, I'm westbound now, just off in the clouds. East of the town, all lights all around. Spinning in the rhythm, it up, get up in the RadioVision. From port to starboard, set sail on these seas we've chartered. Gotta have a love, harness the artwork. Working harder like they say they want a brighter day. Always for the right away, gotta ride the tidal wave. Stung by stingray, but I love them anyway. Sand on my toes and sun on my face. Out on the coast, finally in my place. I'm out and about with the port short sound. I'm westbound now, just off in the clouds. East of the town, all lights all around. Spinning in the rhythm, it'll get up in the RadioVision.
Walk this walk through the world today. I said now sometimes the solution on the problems we face. Walk this walk through the world today. I said now sometimes the solution on the problems we face. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah. Keep it going.
Thank you for listening to Live at Lunch, and thank you to the Music District here in the heart of Fort Collins, Colorado. Live at Lunch is produced by KRFC 88.9 FM in the Ginger and Baker studio. If you'd like to appear on Live at Lunch, email our music director, David Vacek, at david@krfcfm.org.